troubled. But then look, here's the proof. This is what came out of him. It's not like somebody wandering around talking to himself, saying that God's speaking to him. I mean, this transformed the world. This transformed Western civilization. All these things that Western people see, they don't even know that it came from Iqra, Bismi Rabbika alladhi khalaq. All the mathematics, all the architecture, all the science. If you read George Sarton's multi-volume on the history of science, the first 2 volumes are all Muslim names, right? So this is what came out of God speaking to a man. By their fruits ye shall know them. Don't look at ISIS. In the same way you can't look at pedophilic priests to determine what Catholicism is. No. Look at our civilization. Look at what the Muslims built. Look at the Taj Mahal. Look at the Alhambra Palace. What kind of people built those? تِلْكَ أَثَارُنَا تَدُلُّ عَلَيْنَا فَانْظُرُوا بَعْدَنَا إِلَى الْأَثَارِ. These are the remnants that we leave behind to tell you who we were. So after we're gone, look at what we have left behind. If you want to know who the Muslims were, look at what these people left behind. And those were people that were following this book. And they were following our Prophet ﷺ, and that's why they were given tawfiq. And when they deviated, and the Prophet ﷺ said, you will deviate. You will follow the way of other peoples that went before you, the Jews and the Christians and the other religions. He told us that, and he warned us of that. And that's why Muslims have to make tawbah. Quran is produced consistently without mistakes, and that is a real miracle of the Quran itself. Also calligraphy, there's still really some great calligraphers. Turkey still has many great calligraphers. The great Sheikh Chalabi, who I was fortunate to meeting, he's the Sheikh of the great American calligrapher Muhammad Zakaria, who studied with him, and also Aisha Holland, who was a student of Muhammad Zakaria. So this tradition of really a commitment to ihsan in that. But if you look at the architecture, the modern Muslim architecture, it pales in comparison to the great architecture of the past. The schools are almost like prisons, just really ugly, whereas traditionally the Muslims built the most beautiful schools in the world. Nobody has schools like the early Muslims. If you go to Fez, it's filled with these great madrasas that are museums that people go and literally just gaze in awe at the structures. So one of the things that I really want to do with Zaytuna is just make it just a place that people want to visit for the sheer beauty of it. And we have in our tradition this beautiful hadith, Inna Allaha jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. And that's why Muslims dressed beautifully, they spoke beautifully, they were committed to beautiful language, poetry, just excellence in everything. And I think this is something we really have to reestablish, because people by fitra are attracted to beauty. It's just a fitra aspect. And one of the hallmarks of modern society is the attraction to ugliness. And this is because people are so divorced from their fitrah. So clothes have become ugly, buildings have become ugly, schools have become ugly. There's so much ugliness in the modern world that it's quite stunning when you're accustomed to beauty. It's just so stark. So in San Francisco, there's a famous place they call the Japanese Tea Garden. If you go there, it's very beautiful, but it celebrates Japanese culture. Japanese culture is famous for this commitment to ihsan. And when I was in Japan, I was so amazed by the commitment to ihsan that's still there. They do everything with ihsan. And even in the Western things that they master it with ihsan. Some of the greatest classical musicians alive today are Japanese musicians. Many of the great conservatories of America are filled with Asian students, both Chinese and Japanese. But the Japanese have this incredible commitment to ihsan, but also to cultivation. Cultivation of the spirit, even the warrior, the traditional Bushido culture, but cultivation of gardens, the tea ceremony, for anybody who has ever witnessed a tea ceremony. It's really quite beautiful. The dress, the traditional Japanese dress, which you still see, especially in places like Kyoto, So it's really just, it's a stunning civilization that I was just amazed at. And I just felt like Islam, they would bring so much to Islam and they would gain so much from Islam, because they really have so many qualities. The cleanliness is amazing. But this is the Japanese tea gardens. People walk through it and just enjoy the sheer beauty of the place. And then we come to Zaytuna. So we had the blessing of the Barakat Garden, which we've only started. This is just the beginning, but it's going to be something really stunning. And Barakat is a beautiful word because it's about blessings. This was from a really great Palestinian farmer, Adil Barakat, who was a philanthropist and a very successful businessman and many other things. But here he's opening the garden for us. So he actually donated. These are, I think, members of his family. So it's Adil Barakat, Allah yarhamuhu, the son of Palestine, for his leadership in business, philanthropy, and moral guidance. Khairun nasi anfa'uhum lin nasi. So we only, donations, we do not put people's money into things unless they've given us permission to use it for this, that, or the other. So in terms of the garden, all the donations are specified for this, the people that are committed to this project. But we're actually producing fruit and vegetables. We have an incredible piece of property. It's probably one of the finest pieces of property in the Bay Area. And it's on the top of Holy Hill, which is quite amazing. So it already had beautiful gardens. They'd just fallen on bad times. But we have a whole plan to renovate these gardens. So this is an example here. We've had a really brilliant Persian architect, Mahia Salahi, who designed this for us. I was inspired by the Alhambra. I used to give tours at the Alhambra Palace. When I lived in Granada, I was studying with the Mauritanians. I used to go up there and give unofficial tours until they actually kicked me out, because people would join my tours from the official tours, and they got upset. But because they would tell lies on the official tours. They would literally just make up things, horrible things. But the Alhambra, this is an example just of Muslim beauty. The Alhambra Palace, there is a very strong argument that actually a large portion of it was a madrasa. It was actually a college. A lot of people don't know that. So, and it's designed like a traditional madrasa. So this is Zaytuna. This is how it looks today, but we really have plans just to make it something really stunning. Sophia Hall, this is how it looks. Again, beautiful. We have just these beautiful gardens. So my hope is that we create something where people will visit it. So when they come to the Bay Area, they'll want to go to the Zaytuna Gardens, like the Japanese tea gardens. And then they can learn about our religion. We can educate people about. So this is, I think a really, really good. And then obviously